but certainly leaning into your network is a great first step to get that unbridled conversation or realistic conversation about what you might be walking into, really to paint the picture for you of what you think you might be looking for versus what the reality is.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's so important that that's why you have to know the why first, because
Hmm.
then when you have those conversations, you can be looking for very specific things. So, one person we're working with knows that she wants to get back into a more creative space. Well, that can mean a million of things. So, we
Yeah.
talked to her about what does that mean to you? She defined it and we sort of figured it out. So now when she talks to people, she can say, instead of using the word creative, which can mean so many different things, she can ask more specific questions or she can target specific roles that she's considering and how that overlaps with her creativity. But she had to kind of do that work first. Otherwise,
Mhm.
it would have been like almost too broad.
It's so important to really like we were saying in the beginning, take that step back and do a little bit of soul searching of like what's the issue here, what's going to solve for this issue for me, um, and then start talking to people about like what that path might look like.
Yeah, and often we'll come up with like 3 different paths. One path is to
Yep.
stay and figure out how to make it work in your current company. One path might be similar, but like adjacent to what you do, and another path might be something totally different. And honestly, that's where talking to others can help. Yes, we'd love to help you figure it out. But whether that's a friend, a roommate, a parent, a partner, like whatever, one person that we were working with really was like, the sky's the limit. I'm interested in so many things, which was awesome, but it was almost too much. And so we
Hmm.
had to narrow it down a little bit. And then she ended up finding this great opportunity through a company that we introduced her to, but it was something she hadn't really thought of before. She just knew she liked this idea of like helping people find different and interesting products to consider. She's big on social media, like as an individual, and we happened to know an influencer marketing company. And we said, well, have you ever thought about that? Like, I could make an introduction. And like 4 introductions later, and like 6 months later, she ended up working there. But a lot of it was because she didn't know how that all pieced together yet. And it was talking it
Hmm.
through us and us knowing different kinds of companies that it kind of all started to piece together for her.
Yeah, no, I think that's probably a pretty consistent way that we move forward with people is like casting the net fairly wide in the beginning and then really leaning into, okay, here's a structure and a plan moving forward of like how we're going to have some conversations and how you're going to be able to tap into some networks and get just tap into info and realistic conversations so you can sort of make that net a little smaller and hone in on what might be the reality of what you're really interested in. So
Yeah, because it kind of goes back to what we were saying in the beginning. Everything overlaps. And so if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling not even disengaged, but just kind of like, about about your career, it will
mhm,
impact other areas of your life. So if you're sort of trying to figure out what you want to do next, or like what you want to be when you grow up, or like what your career path should be, or whatever phrasing you're using, if you kind of take a moment to figure out why am I feeling this way? When did it change? What would need to be different in the future? What do I want next? How does that interact with the rest of my life? And then how do I actually go about figuring that out? That will unlock a lot of things for you.